Hello there. Thanks for watching or listening. VIP Boxing's Bell to Bell. We're on episode 149. That's a lot of hours, nearly 75 hours and more, mate, if you listen to every episode. If you're watching on YouTube, great. Listening Spotify, iTunes, thanks very much. It's very good of you. You know me, Steve Lillis, at the bottom of our screen there with his wonderful posters and boxing art collection, I will call it. It's John Evans, and tonight's guest, one of Manchester's rising youngish, I'll say, boxing trainers, Ryan Bradley. He's a bit of a regular on this now. Plenty to say and wise boxing insight. Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Thank you for that. I love that intro. It gets better every time.
Yeah, well, we've got her, haven't we?
The rising boxing trainer bit I like, but the youngest bit really made it for me.
Yeah, it was youngish, I said. It's my London accent. It was
hey, when you hit middle age, you say youngish.
Are you okay anyway, Ryan? Very busy in the gym. We'll talk about it more later on. Big week for Rhys Woods, who you've been with from the very beginning. Go back a lot of years. Big night in Blackpool Saturday against James Moorcroft.
Massive night, yeah. It's a big fight. You know, I've got a lot of time for James Moorcroft. James Moorcroft is the epitome for kids. You know, if you're looking at a young kid starting out, the way he puts the work in, he trains hard. You know, he's the way that, you know, if you're trying to show a kid how to go about the boxing career. But, you know, it's I know I've spoken to one in the last couple of weeks. It's just business on Saturday. It'll be but it's a massive fight for Rhys. It's one obviously, you know, you match made, and it's one I jumped at the chance. I think it took me all of 2 seconds to come back and tell you we'd take it. So it's what it's all about. It's what we got into especially with Rhys, when I started out with Rhys, it's what we got into it for, these 50-50, what I do with 50-50, these fights that you are going to put bums on seats, you know. It's, you know, like I said, it took me all of 2 seconds to accept it, and it's a big ask, a bigger ask in other people's eyes than some eyes. But, you know, we've been the perennial underdog so far and shocked a couple of people on a few times, so I want to add that to the list on Saturday.
Ryan, do you almost see this as, you know, Rhys has still got ambitions of achieving something in the sport, hasn't he? He's not. Rhys still sees himself going into fights as a winner, doesn't he? It's clear to see the way he fights. If he is going to achieve anything, do you see this as a must-win fight? James is a little bit of a downside now. It looks like the time's just right, and if Rhys is going to achieve, say, English champion, he's got to win this fight.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Whether James is on, as you described, whether if James is, you know, stock slipping a bit, which I don't think it is. If it is, then, you know, whether it is or not, it is. Yeah, it's a fight he's got to win. You know, like I said, I don't think it is, but if you're gonna challenge, you know, this will be Rhys's 10th fight. If you're gonna challenge for those honours, these are the statements you need to be making. You know, he's, like I said a couple of times before, you know, when stock's always against us, but he's stepped up and been counted and showed what he's capable of. But yeah, this is a must-win fight. Yeah, absolutely.
He's a good lad, James. He had good friends, very talented fighter. And how much stock are you putting in the weight? Because I was speaking to James probably 10 days ago now, and he was telling me about the weight the fight's at. Are you expecting a wholly rejuvenated James on Saturday?
I hope, like I said, I've got a lot of time for James Moorcroft myself. I hope we get the best James Moorcroft on the night. And I'm sure James hopes we get I'm sure Ant does, you know. And he's stepping up in weight, and, you know, I know what he walks around at, etc. So, do you know what? Like I said, if the step up from to super welter gives us the best version of James Moorcroft that's available, then I absolutely jump at it.
Brilliant. Well, so we'll kick on with a podcast. I'm just speaking to John, and I know we're recording this about 20 to 9 on a Monday night, because Ryan's been in the gym all day. John's still got another load of work to do for boxing scene and whoever else he's working for. He's now the busy. By the way, before we continue, John's now the busiest journalist in boxing, I think. I'm seeing his name everywhere at the moment. The most byline journalist in the boxing, British boxing. But anyway, we'll crack on, and John's going to kick us off a show. He's got a couple topics on this. A show that's in Saudi Arabia on Friday, a night before the VIP show in Blackpool, which is the real big show of the week.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
Joshua Ngannou on Friday night, John, in Saudi. You want to talk about that? Fire away for three.
Yeah, we can't not talk about it, can we? I can't wait for it. And I never thought I'd be saying that. Probably 6 months ago when we were talking about Fury and Ngannou, I thought it was a money grab. But fair play to Ngannou, showed himself as being legitimate, didn't he? Did really, really well. This has got all the makings, I think, of an absolute bang-up. I've seen people saying Joshua's got to be cautious and careful, but Joshua tends to be really ruthless with people he thinks he's better than. And I'm going to have a little bet on this fight. I think Joshua's going to do it quick and brutally. I think he'll be too quick, too good, too talented, two-time unified champion, Olympic gold medalist, and he's fighting a guy who's had one pro fight. Fury took his eye off the ball. Joshua's not that. And I'm going to go big on Joshua to really do a bit of a number on poor Ngannou here.
Well, you know what? I can't say too much. I'm absolutely with you. He now knows Ngannou isn't so, he's taken him seriously. He seems on it. John Pegg made a great point the other week on here about he's not bothering about this PR image. He's just, he's with Ben Davison now. Whether Ben's, seems right for him, they seem to have gelled. He seems on it. I think he's going to annihilate Ngannou and really make a statement. I don't know your opinion, Ryan.
I think, definitely what John alluded to before, that shot factor's absolutely is gone with him now. I think, you look at heavyweight boxing, it can happen in a punch, can't it? But yeah, I just think of Joshua. I think Joshua, I'm not a massive Joshua fan, but everyone writing Joshua off, a fit, focused, and controlled Anthony Joshua, is a handful for anybody. And I just think he's had one, Ngannou, for what he is, he's had one pro fight. And like we said, if Fury took his eye off the ball, what Fury was he getting in with? You see the difference, the weight that Fury's made for the Usyk preparations. You look at him online compared to what it looked like in Ngannou. He wasn't taking it seriously. A bit like when Ali fought Anuki back in the 80s, So I just think, I think Joshua and quick. Yeah. I don't see it going any other way than Joshua. Not that I'm writing off. Like I said, there's always a puncher's chance with Ngannou, but I think with Joshua, if he's fully focused and he's on it, I think Ngannou might see a couple of things. He'll get found out.
I mean, as much as Fury says it, he just saw that as going in there, getting the money, getting him out the way quick and going home. He almost think he visualised Mayweather McGregor, where he could either entertain for as long as he wants or get him out there. Joshua won't be mucking around in there this week because if he goes and annihilates, and it seems the three of us believe he does, people will be talking about as the man Fury's got to beat.
Exactly, yeah. That's why I think he'll do it. I think he'll be set on doing a job. I think he'll torture him with a body shot. It wouldn't be surprised me if he did him with a body shot as well. Joshua's a good body puncher. And Ngannou won't be ready for that. I just can't see how he can keep off fast hands, aggressive Joshua. I just can't see it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
round two, Ryan's subject, something Anthony Joshua's been, dug out for quite often. Switching trainers, Ryan.
Seamless link that with the Joshua, but I know, and I might have it's done. I'm not trying to come across with a biased view, being the trainer myself, but I mean, with the Joshua and the Ben Davison, that's his how many changes now? Robert Garcia, Derek James, Ben Davison, Rob McCracken. He's been through his fair share of trainers. And I look at with Chantel Cameron switching the other week. Listen, I'm a massive Grant Smith fan. I'm a massive Jamie Moore fan. I think those two are fantastic trainers, are real kind of flag bearers for for us Brits. But I just fall into the fact of, fair enough, if you've gel, you're dealing with different. I've got a stable of 4 now, and they're 4 different people. 4 different aims, 4 different requirements, what they're looking for. And if you don't gel, I totally appreciate that. But I do think there's this perennial, this reason used when if things don't go well in the ring, that it's the trainer's fault, and then people tend to, are very quick to change trainers. And it's up to, some people. I remember listening to Matt Macklin once, and he had his fair share of trainers. Buddy McGirt, he's with Joe Gallagher. Brian Hughes but he put across a benefit. He said he took a lot from all these different coaches. Or do you look at someone who stays with the same trainer all the career. Look at Naz. Look at Naz was with Brendan all the way through, and then changed. He was the Emmanuel Stewart for Barrera, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the one I will pick on, the one I was surprised at was, I mean, yeah, people change trainers, but it's people. It seems every time there's a major defeat, a lot of people try. I'm really surprised, Shane. I mean, I'm like you. Grant Smith's a great trainer, and I was really surprised Chantal Cameron left Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis to go over to Grant. Likewise, given that, you know, if Grant Smith had trained Chantal from the start and he'd had that success of her, I'd have been surprised if she'd jumped and gone to Jamie Moore after just one defeat. Really, I was really surprised at that. But you don't know what's gone on. But I agree with you. Look, sometimes it can be a good option. It's when people jump from trainer to trainer. I mean, you know, it's been hard catching up with Anthony Joshua, who he's been trained by. But look, you know what? He's been with Ben Davison. He seems settled. He's not home. He's not in America living in a hotel or some rented apartment. That might be another reason why he's with Ben Davison. He can go to his own bed every night.
Yeah, we only know the top of the iceberg that we see in it, you know, but it's what goes on underneath. And I feel like people are so quick to switch. And like I said, I don't know the reasons for Chantal moving. And obviously the Joshua might just be suited geographically. But it does seem to be that quick fire, right? Well, it must be the trainer.
Fine.
Right. Yeah, round 3, Ryan Garcia. Some people were saying he's just, you know, he's just playing games, which I don't believe for a second. But the troubles he seems to have, there's clearly a lot happening in his life that isn't good, it seems, from his social media posts to the mother of his child. I think he's his ex-fiance this morning, you know, posting how she's worried about and concerned, and she would be. It's the father of her child. Whether she's keen on him or not, it's still someone she most probably once loved in a bad way. And what's upsetting me is that RP, you know, promoters just trying to get the last, you know, get more out of him, because there's no doubt in my mind, in the last few days, the Devin Haney fight should have just been pulled. Is it April 20? There's no way it should be going on, but people just seem oblivious and that they're pushing on with it as if it's some sales pitch almost of these mad social. Obviously, it's bringing a lot of interest in the fight, and people are going to, it's almost one of those will tune in to see what happens. Is this guy going to could crack up in the ring? I just think this fight should not be taking place, and those involved, you know, networks, promoters, need to take a good look at themselves.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, I think Ryan is pretty a generation below us, to be honest. They've got to document everything they're doing online, haven't they? You know, they can't go a day without posting something and letting everyone know what they're doing. And Ryan seems to me like the perfect example of someone who could just do with putting his phone down, leaving it alone for a couple of months and getting away from all this attention. He just seems desperate for the attention. But yeah, I'm like you, Steve. If there is something wrong with him and he's not acting up to try and create pay-per-view buys for whatever reason, the fight should be off. The fight should be off. Devin Haney shouldn't be put in the position of fighting him. You know, we've seen, remember when Henry Akinwande had a breakdown against Lennox, and
Oliver McCall.
Oliver McCall on it as well.
Yeah, Akinwande wanted out, didn't he, and just hauled, but McCall had a breakdown, so it doesn't do any benefit to a fight guy in the other corner. So yeah, as well as the promoters wringing every penny out of him, I hope they do it for Haney's sake.
But it's when it's put out there as well. I think people are suggesting that it's, you know, it's to help sell more tickets, etc., and it's just
sell less.
It's like, if you're saying, if you were in Haney's shoes as well, it's like, who am I coming up against? And it's like, I mean, and like you said, if everything's put in the social domain, people then start to have the two penneth, and it's even more, you know, it's not a good situation. And apparently he's come on social media saying he's done a video saying, no, I'm fine, this, that, and the other. But then you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt.
And also, I believe he is troubled. But if he is play acting just to get attention, it's a bit of a sick way to bring attention to a boxing match, because there are people who are generally troubled who do that, who are suffering from some sort of either addiction or mental illness. Anyway, that's my opinion on Ryan Garcia. Anyway, right, it's time. We're not messing tonight, John, with that bell, are you? John's got work to do.
We keep going over, don't we? So
go on, John. Will Big Bang get parked up?
Good title, that, isn't it? Will Big
Brilliant.
Bang get
You should be.
packed up?
That's because you're writing so much. You're coming up with headlines. You're going to use
just
that
flowing
somewhere this
now, and
week.
it's just flowing.
Well, I personally hope Big. You know what? We've got no affinity to either of these guys. I hope Big Bang doesn't get parked up. I like Big Bang Zhang. Big Chinese southpaw. Looked like took on one of the toughest challenges in paper in the heavyweight division and did a number on Joyce twice. And I think he a little bit harshly treated. He just disappeared off the radar, didn't he? And when all these money fights were flying around in Saudi, Zhang was the man on the outside. So he's got this WBO interim shot with Joseph Parker now. Highly likely that the winner will get elevated to a world champion after this unification between Fury and Usyk. And I think Zhang adds a good bit of colour to the division. He's got a real tough test on his hands. If Parker can get it to the second half of a fight, I think Zhang's stamina might be found a little bit wanting, and it wouldn't be surprising if he came apart. But I'm not going to rule out another early stoppage. I think he can walk Parker onto something. Gun to my head, I think Parker will wear him down. But I'm on the Big Bang Zhang train.
Let's not forget in the on the Joshua Usyk card, he beat Hrgovic. Hrgovic took it on points, and he 100% beat Hrgovic.
Yeah,
it was a ridiculous decision from the judges. So yeah, I'm in total agreement. I just think he does add that little bit of something different. I think they've obviously got that history with Joshua as well. If that can be reignited from the Olympics, then you look at what Steve Parker seems to have rejuvenated under Andy Lee, and what he did with Deontay Wilder, which nobody expected. I did predict it, but nobody else expected it. So I don't know. I think Parker will just edge it, but it'd be good to. I agree with you, John. It'd be good to see Big Bang Zhang carry on, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Andy Lee's been brilliant for Joseph Parker. Absolutely brilliant. But you know what? I fancy Parker a little bit, on the Wilder winner, whether Wilder was what he was. But Lee's been brilliant for him, and it just shows, he changed trainers. And this is when it can be beneficial when you go with a new trainer and you stay in and you stick with him. He was around him when he got annihilated, you can say, by Joe Joyce. And he stuck with him, and it's worked. He's left home in New Zealand and has been living in Morecambe. It says a lot about him. But what was mad? Two fellas, one who conquered Joe Joyce, and the other one who was conquered by him. And if you'd said to me that night, Joe Parker got obliterated by Joe Joyce at Manchester Arena, it was over for him in boxing. But that's heavyweight boxing. Here he is, one of the biggest names in the sports again, just 18 months later, and on the fringe of something massive yet again, and earning fortunes of his second fight in Saudi.
And I tell you what, seemingly two of the nicest people in the heavyweight division as well.
Yeah,
so
Parker's spot on, mate.
Good luck to them, and I hope they go on. But let's just see what happens.
Brilliant round this coming up, round 5. A great topic that Ryan's picked. Dillian Whyte, what's next? Well, tell us, Ryan.
Well, he's been cleared. I saw on the on kind of boxing media this morning that he's been cleared. So for me, it's like, what's next? What's next for Dillian Whyte? He obviously, when he lost to Fury, and it's kind of, I really did. I used to, you watched him take man after man after man after man and keep that. He was waiting for that shot with Deontay Wilder, and you was rooting for him every time anybody came up. Some tough fights for him, Rivas, and there were so many that he came and he put out of the way. He beat Joe Parker, didn't he? But look at him now, and he's been in the wilderness with this fight that Joshua that got canned. And for me, it's, he's not getting any younger. I know you could probably get away with it a bit more in the heavyweights than any other division, especially having that time out as well. But for me, sure there will be fights out there, but I just can't see what's next for him.
Yeah. You know what? I think there's plenty out there. And, you talk about his age and catching up with him. I was surprised when you said you was coming up. I had a quick look at his age today. I'm surprised he's still only 35. I can remember him being boxing on Frank Maloney shows back in 2011 at like the Trotsy in London and stuff like that. Absolutely mad. When he used to win a fight and he'd do the gravedigger sort of celebration. Incredible. I mean, I'm surprised But you know what? I'll disagree. I think there's still fights out there for him. 18 months out, he's still on the fringes, and I can see him in Saudi Arabia. You can see him against the Zhang. I can see him against, is it Kabai, the guy with the unbeaten about 24 and all? Or what about him and Joe Joyce if he's going to come back here? I think he's made for Saudi Arabia, I do. Like every heavyweight. That's hardly a wise prediction.
I think you can put 2 and 2 together here. He's not been officially cleared. He's been cleared by an unnamed scientist, hasn't he? Who said he had a tainted supplement, and he's licensed by the Texas board. Sky Sports put the release out, didn't it? It was an exclusive from Sky Sports. I think Dillian might end up on Sky and fight the winner of Fraser Clark and Fabio Wardley.
Oh, what a good shout. What a good shout there. Is that a bit of inside knowledge, John, or what?
No inside knowledge, but you can just
for everyone watching this, John puts little snippets. He's the one who's on the phone chasing stories day in, day out.
You can put 2 and 2 together on that one.
Walked off, didn't he?
Yeah, he dropped the mic and walked off. I think
if Dillian's been unfortunate again to get another tainted supplement and he's cleared, then I think that's a perfect fight for Wardley or Clark. But we'll see.
Right, round 6. This is one I thought of today. Trainers getting egg on their face. So this goes over to you, Ryan. They take trainers who are taking, and managers also who take. I mean, obviously yourself, James Moorcroft, and Rhys are both managed by Steve Woods. So it's up to the trainers really to agree the fight. I said to Steve about it, and he just left it with you two, you and Crawler to sort out. You're taking a risk assignment, Rhys Woods, James Moorcroft. You took it in seconds, and Crawler took it in seconds. Why are you going to be the one who doesn't have egg on his face Saturday night?
Why am I think it's a calculated risk. I think it's, like I said, to move up for James in weight. I said, I hope we're getting the best version of James Moorcroft when he steps up in the weight. I've never accepted a fight for Rhys that I didn't think he could win. We've come up short a couple of times, but I firmly believe that the best version of Rhys on Saturday beats the best version of James. Like I said, I've got a lot of time for James Moorcroft. A lot of time for him, got a lot of respect for him, but I do think the best version of Rhys on Saturday with the game plan I put in place beats the best version of James Moorcroft.
John, you're on the. It's good. I saw your small hall thing this morning. You did on Boxing Scene. Do you think John? I mean, just going off the topic of what we started the subject on it. Do you think we're seeing a lot more competitive fights on small hall shows this year across the board?
Yeah, I do. There's a few good ones on Saturday actually. Area titles seem to be coming back, and I know Kev Marie's got a area champion against the Northern area.
Oh, that's a great fight on Saturday. That guy, the Northern area champion, who's from Sunderland, he's as hard, mate. He's nailed that guy
against Rhys Farnall.
Yeah, Adam Pepple, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and these are off TV. These are off TV. So there's obviously the lads seem to be taking tougher challenges for what is obviously lower money without television exposure. Because I don't think we'd have seen that probably 2 years ago, would we?
Yeah.
Well, look at Joe Howarth against Hash on Saturday.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. I've got a lot of time. I got on with both lads, and I just think that when that got mentioned to me, that was on the card. It's a quality fight, and I'm so glad that these young prospects now are putting it on and realising that just because Hash got beat, the stock rose for both of them in that fight. And realising that O doesn't need to have as much relevance, and that if you put in a performance that's worthy, then you can come out of it maybe even better off. I know it sounds daft.
Yeah, well, I've not heard anybody slagging Hash off, have you?
No.
Raising him to the hill.
Before the fight, I was there and I went to Jum and said the same thing, and he said to Hack, don't matter who wins this fight, loses out of review, nothing changes, you're brought back.
I'll tell you what, Hash will be better next time as well.
Yeah, you know what? I think there was a lot. From what I don't know if you spoke to Josh Warrington at all lately. He was talking to Steve, and they were surprised at his performance, and his training team was saying it was a different person you see in the gym than what you see in the ring sometimes with him. So I think it's a case of transforming that gym form. But you talk about it, and obviously we're a VIP podcast. The show there this Saturday night. Will Galloway, Goldie, Jamie Mellors. I think
Josh
Mellors
Sanford against Jay Cabral.
Jay Cabral, Sanford, the man who beat Joe Alworth, Moorcroft Woods, and Louis Wright and Kevin Maseraki, both unbeaten.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that card there, and at that card of 9 fights, you've got 5 50-50s. You know, you've got some quality on it. For me, Jay Cabral will be a world champion one day. You know, but you know, Josh Sanford though, you know, beat Joe Howarth back November when Rhys bought Johnny Boy. So he's a tough kid, and he's going to be a tough ask. I think Jake will be far too much for him, but he's still a tough kid, and he's a hard night's work for anyone.
Yeah, Josh Sanford has a look of becoming one of those, like he lost in Ireland his last fight. Like he fought really well, I'm told that night. I haven't seen it against can't think a good Irish kid beat him. But Josh Sanford looks like the type of opponent, if you're going to win things, that's the sort of guy you have to come through.
Yeah, a bit like a perennial gatekeeper in a way, but he's a good. He's spoiled. He's a tough kid, and he's hard to beat. You know, but like I think Jake Cabral's got far too much for him. But that card, you know, you've got a Central Area title fight, and I'm not blowing smoke and on the VIP banner, but it's a solid, and that's the sign really at the minute, you know, of the card. Like I said last Saturday with your Hash and your Joe Howe, but both fighters as well are jumping at it. Yeah. I know, but this week that card is a solid card, and long may it continue.
Yeah.
So if you're ticket buying public, you don't want to look at the order, you know, the fight order, and think left. You know, and it's with this weekend there's 5 pick and fights. You know, Rhys and James being one of them, but you know, and on the rest, and you've got some quality down the rest of the card with the other people that are fighting. You know, with Brad's fighting, Brad's out, so it's a real value for money weekend, isn't it?
Almost every weekend for the last 5 or 6 weeks, there seems to have been an area title fight popping up, whether it's been Steve Goodwin and shows down there, and then Carl Greaves had an area title fight on that weekend. It just seems to be every weekend at the minute. I'm glad those belts are back there. Yeah. They're the best fights.
Well, before we'll wrap up now, so you got to get back to work, John. I know. Where are you this weekend? Are you having a Saturday no boxing in your life?
No, I'll either be over in Blackpool or in Oldham.
Oh, we could see you. You could make an appearance in Blackpool on Saturday.
Yeah, I can see Oldham Sports Centre from my house, though. So
I tell you what, in fairness, I know you know we're here over a VIP. That Rhys Farnell Adam Heppel fight is really good. Heppel's you fancy Farnell? Heppel's a tough guy. I mean, I'm speaking to Alex Matvienko about him recently. He's been to their gym sparring. Yeah. And they've said about the improvement of him over the last few months. They've seen boxing wise, but a great fight. So I don't blame you, John, for going to Oldham if you go have a week of it this week.
We'll see.
Fellas, Ryan, thanks very much for giving us some time as we record this on a Monday. John, thanks as always, mate, at the end of near the end of a busy day for you. And thanks everyone else for watching, listening, or whatever. And next week, I think we're hoping Ellie Scotney's going to join us next week, which would be great for our 150th edition. Thanks very much, everybody.
For all boxing info, news, and latest interviews, amateur and pro across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.